Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest on stage is not only a scientist, but also is an author and speaker, as well as thought leader. Please welcome to the stage Dr. Khaled Ghattass.
تست. أهلا وسهلا. كيفكن؟ والله يعني لو رايح على البحر مش هالقد. Nice meeting you. It's really a pleasure, and I'm so glad to be here, despite what's happening in Lebanon, and in spite of what's happening in Lebanon, actually. But I'm sure we will all rise again, inshallah, in all our countries, بإذن Allah. Thank you all for being here. Can I just grab a chair? We're gonna make it very light, بس هيك. I'm gonna speak for 7 minutes. I'll just tell you one discovery. Only one discovery for those who are waiting for me to speak. عم أهلك عليه لسه. Okay. حدا بيعرفني? Who does not know me? Who does not know me? Okay. للي ما بيعرفني أنا اسمي خالد غطاس. Okay. أنا scientist. الباك جراوند تبعي PhD in cell and molecular biology. كيف بينتقل breast cancer من الله يجيرنا وإياكم من الصدر للجسم. So this is my background. But I have been known to lately in the last 5 years for speaking about human behavior, like what makes people do what they do. This is my interest, and this is how I think I help people. And after years of actually analyzing what makes us sick, what makes us fall in love, what makes us fall out of love, what makes us love the ones that we should hate and hate the ones that we should love, what makes us get sick, whether physically or mentally, what makes us get a divorce, what makes us even hate our children sometimes, is one balance, which is the balance between authenticity, manifesting who we are in our lives, versus our need for attachment. This guides everything we do. Authenticity meaning who we really are. How can we manifest ourselves in our life? For example, I don't know what example I can give. I'll give you an example that happened just on the way here, okay? So my mom called me from Lebanon and she said, I'm sitting here مع مرت عمك, okay? مرت عمك بدها تحكي معك. I said, please, go ahead. مرت عمك is the wife of my uncle. ما بعرف شو يعني بالإنجليزي. And she called me. She said, Khaled, how are you? Good, very good. We are okay. It's just that the war is getting harder and so on. And then she said, we need you to get married before we die because of war. And I thought that it's a need for them, and for me to secure my attachment to them, I have to do what they want me to do, versus how do I want to manifest myself in my life. And this is applicable in everything we do, even in married couples. Sometimes, I don't know, like ladies sometimes have exaggerated sense of jealousy. Look at the camera. I have to look at the people. Okay, كرمالك. So some women have an exaggerated sense of, I don't know how to look at cameras actually. Even in my content, I don't look at cameras. Yeah. I missed the point. What was I saying? Yeah, exaggerating sense of jealousy. Huh? It's the opposite, okay. So it's just an example, okay? By the way, the title of my book is ليس هذا ما كتبت because of these notes. Because every time I speak about women, men say no. And every time I speak about men, women say no. And then I say, ليس هذا ما كتبت. This is not my point. My point is to show the bigger picture. So, having said that, what I mean, because we link being authentic, who we really are, to our need of attachment, we tend to lose one of the two. one of the two. يعني sometimes to get attached to the people that you need, you have to let go of who you are. And sometimes it's the opposite. You let a lot of who you are to get attached to the people you want to be attached to. And this happens all the time. That's why when people discover that this balance have been tilted to one side versus the other, they just stop doing what they're doing. That's why we get a divorce. We say, I don't care about being attached to my husband or even attached to my home because I have lost too much of myself. And the opposite is also true. And that's actually a dilemma. It's not easy to maintain both. Because if you're outrageous when you're mad, this is who you really are. For any time something bad happens, you want to be outrageous. This is your authentic self. But then when you experience or when you manifest too much outrage, those who are around you will have less attachment to you. And on the long term, you will suffer limited attachment. So both of them are highly, highly needed. We cannot be too authentic and we lose our network. And we cannot focus only on our attachment and we lose our authenticity, like what most moms do. Most moms, they lose parts of who they are for the sake of giving to their kids, to their house, and so on. With time, this ends up really bad, and the consequences are really bad. It doesn't end here. You have your balance of authenticity versus attachment, but others do too. يعني, I should also respect your balance of authenticity versus attachment. Which means you can be who you really are and not feeling at risk for my attachment to you. And this is exactly what unconditional love means. That you can be so authentic and your authenticity will not impact my attachment to you. And that's where we should head with people. It doesn't mean two things. It does not mean that I am authentic, I can do whatever I want, and that's how I respect myself, and that's how I am. No, Nabi alayhi salatu بيقول, Prophet Muhammad says, إنما الحلم بالتحلم, which means, I don't know what it means actually in English. How can it be translated? What is the meaning of al-hulm? No. إنما الحلم يعني to be calm. So being calm is a practice thing. So you cannot tell people that this is me, this is who I am, this is how I get outrageous, or this is how I want to manifest myself to an extent that you would really impact your relationships and so on. Okay? So the outcome of what I want to say is that you should really strike a balance between your authentic self, who you really are, and how do you want to manifest yourself in your life, versus what other people expect from you to maintain your attachment. And when you're raising your kids, you should also cater to their balance. You should never link their attachment to you based on the level of how authentic they are. Okay? Because we fear so much that we lose attachment. And this is a reason of so much pain in the world, including abuse, including even sexual abuse. Because we fear we lose attachment to something, we let go a lot of our authentic self. And this is really too risky. Clear? So my first outcome is cater to this dilemma. And I know how hard it is to cater for this dilemma. Your authentic self versus your need for attachment. The second point, which I think works well for this event, the first video that got too viral that I have made, قلت فيه, I said, rental is more expensive in buildings that have a view on Burj Khalifa more than the rental in Burj Khalifa نفسه. So if you rent, this is what I have been told. So if you rent an apartment with a view on Burj Khalifa, it's more expensive than if you rent an apartment in Burj Khalifa. Why? Exactly, because if you're in Burj Khalifa, you're looking at something else. But if you're looking at an apartment that has a view on Burj Khalifa, that's really, this is the value. And then I said at the end of the video, it was really يعني موفق الفيديو. And then I said, our lives has become a lot like this story. Like we are too worried how the view to our life is more than how our life actually is. We're too worried to make the view towards life impressive, shiny, nice, but living in our life is not as impressive. And we call this, thank you. And we call this, I learned this concept in Harvard Business School. We call this the dilemma of image management versus essence management. And we really have to cater for both. Our image is extremely important, but our essence is also too important to us. So these are the two things I want to leave you with, plus the tan, that's it. So this makes them 3. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.